Good morning. For those of you who don't know, my name is Maya Karen. I run a fashion blog called Classically Kept. It does feature luxury, contemporary, and how to style, and now natural hair care and hair care topics. If you are into any of those things, please consider subscribing to my channel. Click the notification bell. That way you will never miss a video. So today is going to be a hair talk video. I initially was not going to talk about this, but then interestingly enough, about 3 of y'all in the community made these comments in the last hair video. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the question that I'm going to pose to you, or the question of the day, is your idea or your concept or your thought of your natural hair needing to be perfect or looking perfect ruining your natural hair? And again, on the surface, this seems maybe like a vain question, or it seems like a silly question. But when we really get into the video, I want you to think about the things that we are actually doing to our hair to make it look perfect, and ask ourselves, is it counterproductive? Is it detrimental? Or is it just okay and we're reading too much into it? So first, let us define the word perfection. When we say perfection, what are we talking about, right? So first, Merriam-Webster says that perfection is the condition, state, or quality of being free, or as free as possible from all flaws or defects. So when we think about perfection, when we're talking about natural hair, essentially that means all curls are popping, no hair is out of place, all edges are slicked down. It's perfect. It is literally perfect. There is nothing wrong with your hair. There's nothing out of place. So when we're talking about perfect natural hair, that's what I think people are referring to. Also, what I think people are referring to, and we will get into this in the video a little bit later, I think it's a little bit also, when we're talking about perfection, I think we're also talking about texturism. You guys should already know that that was going to come up in this conversation. And when we're talking about texturism and when we're talking about perfection, I'm talking about the perfect curl. Okay, so kind of how I want to run down this video, I want to give just 4 scenarios, or 4 common things that we are doing to our hair to discuss it. I will give my thoughts, and then we will kind of also talk about where this is coming from. Okay, so the first hairstyle, or the first couple sets of hairstyles, is going to be the slick back bun, the top knot, and the sleek or slick ponytail. We've all seen them before, and I will see if I can find the video right here. There are many of them, but when I watch these videos, I see women who have beautiful, thick, luscious, gorgeous hair, whether it be 3A or 4C. I see them take just like a whole bunch of gel. They will actually part their hair. So they'll part their hair from the front to the back. They'll have a section here, and then in the back. They will take a whole bunch of gel in the back, and they will just lay it down, lay it down, lay it down. Then they will take a brush and just brush it and brush it and brush it until it will lay down. And then on this side, they will do the exact same thing. They will dig in that gel can, or in that gel bottle, or in that gel tub. They'll put it right here, and they will just slick it back, slick it back. They'll take their brush and just brush and brush and brush until they get the desired look. They will do the exact same thing for this side as well. They'll dip their hand in, they'll put that gel on, then they will take that brush and they will brush and brush and brush and brush, okay? And then of course you have to go to the edges. You have to make sure that your edges are laid. So the very first thing that I'm noticing when it comes to that is the gel. I don't know about y'all, but I know what was really popular a couple of years ago was the Eco Styler gel, and I did try it. The actual gel itself was yellow, the top was red, so I believe it was the argan oil. And for me personally, it dried my hair out. Not only did it dry my edges out, but it also used to leave like white residue, and it just wasn't cute because it looked even worse in the sun. So the first thing that I see is just all of the gel that's being placed on your hair. A lot of times you will find alcohol and gel, and for our hair, it tends to dry it out. Next, you have the brush, which you are just brushing and brushing and brushing, and you are manipulating it. So you've already used the brush, you've already manipulated your hair, you've already used the drying alcohol. Now, what are you going to do to make sure that you secure it and to make sure that it's tight? You're going to use a ponytail holder. Y'all know that I do not use ponytail holders. Any hairstyle that you see on my channel or on my head is all bobby pins. I do not use ponytail holders. But then what you will see is you will see women take these ponytail holders and they will wrap them 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times just to make sure that it is secure. So we've done the gel. We're beginning to dry our hair out. We've done the brush, which is the manipulation. And now we are using this ponytail to tie our hair as tight as possible. that is going to eventually lead to breakage. And what a lot of women will begin to find is, especially depending on where they put their ponytail, whether it's a top knot, mid or lower, they will begin to see like that ring, like where that hair is, it begins to break off. And I will see if I can find the video, but I also saw a hairstylist. Now I will say this, I don't know whether or not this woman is natural. I don't know if it's a weave or a wig. I have no idea. But I saw a hairstylist take a mini iron. I thought it was maybe like a prop or like some type of like kitsch or some type of like gimmick. She took a mini iron literally on her client and she was pressing it on her hair to make sure that her hair was straight or wavy or shiny, whatever it is she was trying to accomplish. You know, that wet and wavy, shiny look. I looked it up on Amazon and it was in fact a mini iron. Okay. So right now we are just discussing or talking about the lengths that we are willing to go to achieve a certain look or to have perfect natural hair. Next, which I have already kind of talked about, but it's a perfect segue, is going to be the laid edges. We are beginning to get into the realm of ridiculousness when it comes to the edges. I don't know where you are located or where you reside, but here in the Carolinas, it can reach to 100 degrees. And then with the humidity, it's going to make it seem even hotter. I'm just not going to be able to have my edges laid every single day, especially if I'm going outside. The excessiveness of having to have our edges laid are making us edgeless. Let me read a comment from someone in the community because I do agree. The comment reads, "The last question. I believe people's obsession with perfect slicked edges has led to an epidemic of many ruined hairlines." And I agree. I will add to that though, wigs. I know you guys have seen those videos where the women peel the wig and there are no edges and they do not have any hair. But as far as the edges are concerned, I would probably say maybe 5 to 7 years ago, I'm not going to say 3, let's say pre-COVID, you were able to leave your house as a natural woman without laying your edges and not be ridiculed or not be talked about. I cannot remember where the post is. I will see if I can find it. This again was it pre-COVID or it might have been after COVID? It was on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, but from what I understand, Black Twitter will gather you and read you to filth. But there was a young woman on there who posted a photo. She had 4C hair, and the threads in the comments on her post were absolutely ridiculous. People were asking her, number one, why did she take the photo like that without laying her edges? And then number two, people were asking her, did she leave the house like that? It used to be that as a natural, you could just throw your hair up in a bun or in a poof and leave the house and be fine and not be questioned about that decision. And just the comments, I just felt so bad for this woman because she just posted the photo because it was actually like a before and after. So she was talking about how much her hair had grown. And while she was looking for encouragement, people were just being rude, mean, and condescending. I'm not sure if you're aware, I will link these videos down below. But also when I'm talking about edges, I'm talking about roots, I'm talking about bushy roots and all of that. There was a story that I did talking about natural women who are actually in the front of their hair or their baby hairs. They are actually relaxing their baby hairs to get a smoother look. And then there are women who are actually getting Botox, and they're calling it Blowtox, so that their blowouts can last longer. So essentially when they start sweating, their roots and their edges are not reverting. And I can attest to this as well. I did a 30-day challenge with my hair last year from December all the way to January. You guys know that for my hairversary, I straightened my hair. This year, I just decided to have fun with it and do it for 30 days. And I showed y'all each day. I just showed you how I rolled my hair and all the different hairstyles that I wanted to try. 3 months later, after the challenge was done, someone made a comment on Instagram. It was a man. Someone made a comment and he said, "Your edges are bushy as F." Now, number one, sir, I don't know you, but number two, that just lets me know where we are in society. The fact that you felt okay to critique my hair or make a comment about my edges just lets me know where we are. And if you were watching that challenge, you would have known that for me on day 9 is when my roots and my edges were bushy. Unfortunately for me, one of the first places that I begin to sweat is my scalp. So the world is just going to have to understand. And I said that on day 9. I was all up in my roots and I showed y'all. And I was like, if you are looking for someone who is going to just have these perfect edges, this challenge is not for you. Once my edges revert, once my curly cues come back, that's it. I'm not going to go back in and just start redoing or reflat ironing my edges or my roots. For what? My edges can be bushy and the rest of my hair can be straight, okay? But when we start getting into this realm of people critiquing or pointing out certain things that are natural is an issue. If I was not who I was, somebody else might have been offended by that. Somebody else might have taken that negative comment and it could have really affected them. But I just think with the edges, with the laying of the edges, I think it is becoming a little bit ridiculous. There are women who will not leave the house unless they have laid their edges. I'm filming this on Thursday. This video will go up on Sunday. I washed my hair last Monday. I redid my edges that Thursday. Take it to this Monday. I'm filming today. So that means I did not touch my edges for 4 days. If I'm sitting in the house and I'm not doing anything, if I'm not running errands, or if I'm not filming, there's no need for me to touch my hair. There is no need for my edges to be relayed. And as a matter of fact, if I am in the house, more than likely I'm wrapped up like I am right now. I was wrapped up like this on Monday. My edges, I lay them on Monday. It's Thursday. This is the first time that I'm laying them. Tuesday, my edges were okay. Wednesday, they were a little bushy. But so be it. They were bushy. My hair is natural and it's naturally curly. That is the natural state of my hair. There is no need for me to always manipulate my hair. You have become so accustomed to that because that's what you're seeing, that when somebody steps outside of that box, it's foreign to you. When 5-7 years ago, your edges being laid or your roots being bushy was not really an issue. And the last scenario, which I know is probably going to be the most controversial. Texturizers, texture release, relaxer, and the new Gina curl that keeps popping up on my feed and I'm not really sure why. And then of course, once you watch one, your algorithm changes and then you go down a rabbit hole. So what I will say is this when it comes to these processes and when it comes to these chemicals, because I wanted to familiarize myself with the Gina curl, and a lot of the women who get the Gina curl kind of have the same sentiments as the women who get the texturizers and the texture releases. Let's leave the relaxer out of it for a second, because when someone gets a relaxer, their hair is straight, okay? So let's just focus on the Gina curl, the texturizer, and the texture release. And really, let's kind of step aside the texturizer and the texture release. So from my understanding, I watched the Gina curl. A lot of people are saying that's Jerry's sister. Fine. But even in all three of those, I hear a lot of women talk about manageability or they want versatility. I think a lot of women do want manageability, but I think the manageability is being masked or it's being used as a euphemism or it's under the guise of texturism. When I watch videos about the women who talk about Gina curls, they briefly mention manageability, but then they start talking about their texture. They start talking about their curl pattern. They start talking about how they want a looser curl to make the hair more manageable. Now, what I will also say is a lot of the videos that I watched for the women who chose to get the Gina curl, the videos are anywhere from 6 months to a year long. But what I have noticed after about the first or the second touch up, there is no update. And I think what a lot of them are finding is that the Gina curl is just as detrimental to the hair as the relaxer can be, the texturizer, and the texture release. A lot of them do not have follow-ups, or what you will find, a lot of them will come back on and say, hey guys, I'm getting ready to do a big chop. Here are my reasons why. Or hey guys, I'm getting ready to cut my hair and I'm getting ready to start over. You guys know that whenever I do my hair videos, I try to be as honest as possible, especially when it comes to my Shebe journey, good or bad. I will always share, not saying that they are lying, not saying that they are concealing anything, but I do find it interesting that after about the second update, they kind of go ghost, they kind of go quiet, and then they come back and say, well, I'm starting a new hair journey. Manageability and texture or texturism are two different things. You can have 4C hair and it still be manageable. You may not have grasped the concept of how to take care of your hair, but they are two totally different things. But in just listening to these women, it seems like they're trying not to necessarily make an excuse, but it seems like they are trying to mask texturism with manageability. Now, if you have a looser curl pattern, yes, your hair may be more manageable or easier to take care of. But the fact that you have to go through a chemical process, or the fact that you are willing to do that. And also, I looked at the prices for the Gina curl. That stuff is, I think one woman said she paid either $900 or $1,000. I am not paying $900 to $1,000 for someone to do that to my hair. Only after a year, only after 6 months to have to cut it off and start again. So I think when we're talking about the texturizers, the texture releases, and the Gina curl, I think women are looking to change their curl pattern. And as a matter of fact, when you look up a lot of the Gina curl videos, they will have it titled as I'm changing my curl pattern, or how to change your curl pattern. And then they'll start going into manageability. So I think when it comes to this last section, I think it's more so texturism. And why I'm bringing that into the conversation when it comes to perfection is that we are all aware that when you start getting into your 4B and 4C hair types, that is not looked at as beautiful. That is not looked at as acceptable or desirable. So if someone who has 4C hair can do a process or pay someone to have their hair look a certain way, mimic a certain curl type, or loosen their curl type, and they are not secure, they don't know what to do with their hair, or they are looking for that perfect curl, I would probably say that they're going to go ahead and go through with it. And I do want to read this YouTube comment. And when I read this comment, this is by no means trying to make fun of this young woman, but her comment is very relevant because it's what we're talking about. So what she said is, I tried to make my hair, in quote, perfect by using different treatments and my hair fell out. I learned that I need to appreciate my hair. This comment speaks volumes and has so many meanings. I hope that you were able to start appreciating your hair, but the first part, I tried to make my hair perfect by using different treatments and my hair fell out. Now, this is the comment, so I can't speak to whether or not this person chose to get any of these treatments, or if she just chose to maybe get a blowout, keratin treatment, protein treatment. There are some treatments that she was trying to get to make her hair perfect, and subsequently her hair fell out because she was trying to attain this perfect curl, or she was trying to attain this perfect look. She's not the only one, and she will not be the last one. I don't want to get on my soapbox, but we need to start telling our young women that the hair on their head is beautiful. It needs to start, I'm not going to say from infancy, but it needs, maybe not even toddler, but it needs to start when they are going to be around other children. I've said it before and I will continue to say it. When I was younger, coming up, when my mother was raising me, she always made sure that I knew that my complexion was beautiful just the way that it was. And she especially always reinforced to me that the hair that grew out of my head was perfect and beautiful just the way that it is. Trust me, I know, easier said than done, but we need to begin to have these conversations because we have young women who are trying to get to this desired look or who are trying to perfect their curl, and it's actually counterproductive. Their hair is falling out, they're getting bald spots, they don't have any edges, and they're not able to achieve the goals that they're looking to achieve. Let's talk about imperfection. And you guys have heard me say this before, and other people know it. There is beauty in imperfection. Part of the beauty of being natural is imperfection. You guys, and I will give you the perfect example. My famous bouffant. It happened. I take all of my hair, I flip it over, and I put it right here on my head. Every single time I do that style, it is going to look different. Every single time. It doesn't matter if I do it with jumbo twist. It doesn't matter if I do it with mini twist. It doesn't matter if I do it with free hair. It is going to look different every single time. And I will put some photos up here, but it's going to look different every single time. One day I might have it closer on my forehead. One day I might have it sitting up. One day this side might be flat. One day this side might be big. In the back, I have no idea what's going on in the back, but that's always going to look different, right? One day it might be skinny, one day it might be big, one day it might be even more lopsided than the other. There is beauty in imperfection. And once we recognize and acknowledge that when it comes to our natural hair, we will be better off. For my wash and go sisters, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Every single time you do your wash and go, it's going to look different. There are so many factors that go into doing a wash and go. We all know the scare when you start taking out your twist or your braid or your flat twist when it's not dry. That twist out is going to look different. It's going to look different if you use gel or if you use mousse or if you use one product or if you use another. It's going to look different if you do it underhand or overhand. It's going to look different if you choose to do braids or if you choose to do twists. Let's say you sleep on your back. And so when you sleep, that's going to alter a little bit of how it's going to come out. Let's say you sleep on your side. This side might be a little bit flatter than this side. So then you take your comb and you pick it out. There is beauty in imperfection. It's always going to look different because natural hair is imperfect. So the question that I want to pose is, what are you looking for? If you are looking for long hair, fine. If you are looking for medium hair, fine. If you are looking for blunt, thick ends, fine. If you are looking for just flourishing, natural, healthy hair, fine. I believe we all are. If that's what you are looking for, I would just suggest to you to just kind of sit down and think about all of the things that you are doing to your hair. I've said this before and I will continue to say it. For me personally, I find that when I leave my hair alone, low manipulation, low manipulation, low manipulation. I find that when I leave my hair alone, it flourishes. I wash my hair, I install my twist, I don't touch my hair again until it's time to re-moisturize. You guys know that I am on the Shebe journey. If you are looking for flourishing, natural, healthy hair, just sit and think about all of the things that you are doing to your hair. You're going to have to accept your hair for what it is and for what it is not and for what it cannot do and for what it will never look like. Unless you choose to do a process or a system that will chemically give you a different curl pattern. If you are that natural, and there are naturals out there who want to experiment, who want to lay, fry, and dye and color and try all of the trends, that's fine. But you also need to recognize that if you are one of those experimental naturalistas, that your hair might not flourish as if you were to just leave it alone. As long as you're aware of that, there is no issue. But I'm asking you, what do you want? Because in order for you to attain that healthy hair, you have to accept your natural hair for what it is and for what it will never be. Okay, so now I kind of want to get into, where is this coming from? Where is this idea or this concept of natural hair coming from? And we all know the culprits, but let's just kind of go down the line. So of course, the very first one is social media. When you hop on social media, and this is not about the baddies, this is not the Instagram baddies, this is not, with the makeup and the nails and the eyelashes and the laid wigs. Even when you hop on social media, you always see someone is trying to attain a specific curl, a specific style, or a specific aesthetic, or a specific look. I know for a lot of people, when it comes to watching their favorite natural hair gurus, or when it comes to just watching people doing a natural hair, they are always tugging and pulling. They're always looking for these shiny, bouncy curls. And for a lot of Black women, that might not just be attainable. But if that's all you see, especially as a young woman, if that's all you see, you may begin to think that there's actually something wrong with your hair. When in actuality, there's nothing wrong with your hair. It's just that there is this, dare I say, agenda that's being pushed that your hair needs to conform and it needs to look a certain way, which is the same thing for marketing and commercials. And I don't really want to get way too into this, but a lot of times when it comes to marketing and when it comes to commercials, the perfect curl or the model that they choose to represent natural hair typically has a looser curl pattern. I don't want to, I don't want to get into all of that, but y'all know what I'm talking about. When you're looking at marketing, when you're looking at certain websites, when you're looking at certain companies, they typically, especially if they are just getting into the realm of natural hair, they will typically showcase someone who has a looser curl pattern, and then that's supposed to be the status quo. So again, if you are a young person looking at this, or if you are someone who is considering going natural, and all that is being marketed to you is 2C and 3A, you might subconsciously begin to think that there is something wrong with your hair. Same thing with society and with communities. What's the saying? It be your own. I truly believe that. Sometimes in our community, we are our worst critics and we are so judgmental. We all know the videos. We've all heard them. We've all seen them. We've all heard celebrities talk about light skin versus light skin versus dark skin. We've all heard, I believe it was the sportscaster who called like a group or the basketball team nappy-headed hoes, right? But even with our own community, we take issue with certain curl patterns. Again, your 4Bs and your 4Cs. When you make comments like that, when you have comments coming from your girlfriends, maybe your significant other, your family members that are in your community, it makes it even worse because they are not accepting you for who you are and how you were placed on this earth. Being ridiculed within your own community can leave you very much frustrated and ostracized because this community is supposed to be the ones who are uplifting you. I'm not going to get too much into it because when I was looking this up, because I did want to get a little bit of history as far as hair just in general as a community and through the time. So I did watch a couple of documentaries, but they were mainly just going through slavery, antebellum, Jim Crow, the 70s, and things like that, and then in present day. But they didn't really get into the specifics of having that perfect curl or having natural or having perfect natural hair. So we're all aware of slavery. We're all aware of Jim Crow. We're all aware that once we were freed, in order for us to get a job, we had to have a certain look. We start bringing in the relaxers, the creamy cracks. We start bringing in the hot combs and all of that. But no one is really having a conversation about the texturism and the perfect curl. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about consequences. First, let's talk about the surface level consequences. When you are chasing something and you are not able to attain it, you're going to be wasting time. You're going to be wasting money, and nobody wants to waste money, right? So you've wasted time, you've wasted money, you're sitting in your bathroom, you're trying to figure out what it is that you're doing. You become frustrated, and a lot of people may not recognize this or notice this or know this, but you're frustrated, you're angry, and you're upset. If you continue to do your hair, you are going to subconsciously, you are going to take it out on your hair. And you guys have heard me say this before. When you are caring for your hair, always make sure that you are in a state of calm. Make sure that you are not flustered, angry, or upset. you will begin to take it out on your hair. Okay, so those are kind of like the surface level. Those are kind of like the surface level consequences. The real consequences is that we are raising women, and we are raising young women to hate themselves and not accept themselves for who they are. If you have a young woman who hops on Instagram and she's looking at all of these hair gurus, and she's looking at all of these women who have the perfect curl or have the perfect texture, and she doesn't reflect any of that. She's watching 2B and she has 4C. Let's say she's watching 2C, 3A, and she has 4C. So she looks at that on Instagram. She's looking at it for a couple of hours. She's scrolling. She hops on TikTok and she sees the same thing. She does not see anyone that remotely reflects her. Then it's time for dinner, and her mother calls her, and she comes downstairs, and her mother, her brother, or her father make a comment about her hair. She's getting it from all different aspects. Then she goes to bed, she wakes up, she goes to school, and she's getting it from the kids at school as well. Those were 3 scenarios that I gave you that are happening on a daily basis. When does that young woman become confident? When does someone tell her that she is beautiful? When does someone tell her, when does someone let her know that her hair is acceptable, that she can still be loved, that she can still be successful? It might seem very vain, again, on the surface, and it might seem very trivial, but it's not. Not when you have young women growing up who feel like they cannot leave the house without laying their edges, without the perfect curl, or without their hair being done. We are sending the message to the young women growing up, and maybe to even some adults. We are sending the message to our young women that they are just simply not good enough and that they do not measure up. So I know this video is probably going to ruffle a couple of feathers. One thing that I do love about our community, or that about this community, is that we can disagree, but we do it respectful. Let's start a conversation in the comments. I just want to remind you, here on YouTube, I do upload videos every Wednesday and Sunday. And of course, right here or right here, I'll put my Instagram handle. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, you guys. Bye.
We always have it coming.